Do you feel the vibes?
What's up, YouTube? It's Carolina Calvin coming back to you with another video. In this video, I want to talk about the Microsoft E3 2017 press conference. Now, if you haven't seen my previous video where I talked about kind of like predictions or whatever, some of the predictions came true, but I'm going to talk about most of what happened. I did get a chance to kind of skim through it again. So I'm going to talk about some of the things. I'm going to point out things that I did like, things I didn't like, and what I thought about the conference overall. Now, the thing is called the Xbox One. That was like one of the first things they talked about. They didn't mention price at the beginning, so you won't get price to the end. You get the price and the release date at the end. I will talk about that when I get to it. First game they showed was Forza Motorsport 7, and like I said, I don't give a damn about racing sims, but it did look good for what I saw with my own two eyes. That looked great. It comes out October 3rd, so the Forza games always look pretty good. They always do pretty well. People really like them for the most part. So those usually do pretty well. And we expected to see Forza Motorsport 7. Next, they showed Metro Exodus. This game looks really good. At first, I thought it was only on Xbox One, Windows 10. Before I've been hearing it's on PS4 as well. It's coming to PS4 or something like that. But the game looks good. You ever played First Light? I'm sorry, Last Light, I'm sorry. I was thinking. Yeah, we played Last Light and played 2033. Those games are really fun. Next, they showed Assassin's Creed Origins. And, for Metro Exodus, I think it's a 2018 release date, release window. Assassin's Creed Origins going to go all the way back to Egypt. A lot of people didn't like the heat-seeking arrows, but I think the game looked good. And you kind of see them taking that time off to, make the game, I guess, more interesting. And the setting is interesting. We'll just have to see. You're playing with a black character. I know a lot of people like that. But, like I said, we'll have to see. But after, Syndicate was good. But after the disaster, fucking garbage Unity, all the issues, they had to take some time off. Because people had a bad taste in their mouth after Unity, despite Syndicate being a solid Assassin's Creed game. Next, they showed Battlegrounds, which was a PC game. I think it's still in early access. Still has a lot of bugs. The concept for the game is cool. Huge, massive battlefields. Kind of reminds me of not as big as PlanetSide 2, but this is going about something completely different. But that was the only big, large game that I can even think of at the moment. But this is coming to Xbox One. I don't remember the date, but they kind of show some gameplay of that. After that, they show State of Decay 2. Now, it looks to me slightly better than the original one. Of course, the original one had got re-released on Xbox One and PC. This is on State of Decay 2 is going to be on Xbox One PC. It's going to get a spring 2018 release window. So, we don't know exactly when we're going to get in one of those months, but they did announce spring. I was hoping it would come out this year. But playing with friends, if it didn't have co-op, I said this before, I wouldn't even think about the game. But it definitely looks like huge maps. Was probably gonna be more zombies on the screen. Everything's gonna be bigger, and it's gonna be fun to play with friends. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Just kind of disappointed they didn't come out this year. Next, they showed the Darwin Project. It's like a MOBA. I don't play a bunch of MOBAs, so I wasn't interested in this game at all. Also, they showed Cuphead, which has a September 29th release date. That's all they really wanted to show was brief gameplay, then show the release date, which the game's been getting delayed. It was supposed to come out last year. Supposed to come out early this year. We was wondering when is it going to come out. Now we got a September 29, 2017 release date. Next, they showed Minecraft. And for the Cuphead, I kind of got it out of order. I don't remember exactly what it showed, but I do remember them showing it when I initially watched it. So when I skimmed through, I probably skipped over it by accident. But I do remember them showing that and its release date. Minecraft crossplay. I think the crossplay thing is cool. Not a big fan of Minecraft. I really don't care. But the crossplay thing, showed the Switch. They showed like mobile devices. No PS4. But they said consoles, but obviously they can't say a specific console, whatever. 4K, it's fucking Minecraft. Are you serious? It's fucking Minecraft, isn't it? If it was something like Assassin's Creed, or if it was honestly any of these other games, I would get it. But Minecraft 4K, okay. Ooh. But anyways, the crossplay thing is cool with that, with Minecraft. Next, they show Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which is a multiplayer as well. Looks good. We've been hearing about this even before, maybe by Arc Games, same guys who made Guilty Gear. Game looks great. Game looks really good. It's gonna be like a 3v3. They at least showed up to the point with Frieza, the golden Frieza. So we at least get up to that point. More than likely, they're gonna be adding content. I think they have a 2018 release window. I could be wrong, but it looks good. It looks like, especially when there's not a lot of fighters out. Recently got Injustice, recently got Tekken. You're gonna get Marvel's Capcom Infinite, later on this year. It looks good. We need more fighters, and the last fighting game for Xenoverse 2 is completely different. This is completely different, and it's probably gonna be way more in depth in terms of its fighter mechanics. So this is a good one right here. I didn't expect it. Heard about it, didn't expect it. One, kind of like a Japanese RPG, Black Desert, which is like an MMO RPG. Game looks good. It's gonna launch first on the Xbox One, and I assume later on PS4. Game looks good. I like the way it looked. My issue is, does it have I didn't look up this stuff. Does it have a paid, kind of like a monthly subscription? I'm not down for that. I don't like monthly subscriptions, and that would kind of kill my hype for the game for me if it does have one. So let me know. I might just look it up, but right now, just going off, a couple friends told me that probably will. So, like I said, it look good, but I'm not down with that subscription shit. Next, you have Last Night, which is like a 2D indie game. Kind of reminds me of, at least from a setting standpoint, reminds me of Blade Runner. So for what it is, it looks good. Now, I don't know indie games get a lot of shit. I like indie games. There's some indie games that I do like, and this one is one of the ones I do like. Coming out of this conference, I thought it was a pretty good one. It was, what they showed was a brief, but it was enough to kind of see what the game is exactly about and all that. And it looks, I like it. I really like it. Next, they had the Artful Escape. I didn't like the way it looked. I didn't like the way the characters look. I didn't like it at all. Next, they had Code Vein, another Japanese game, which they're really trying to add some diversity to the lineups. You got to give them credit because there's some other games I'm gonna talk about that. Yeah, they trying to add some diversity, and Code Vein looks good, but it's a multi-plat, so but we did get to see it, and a lot of people didn't think it was gonna come to the Xbox One, so they pretty much said, yeah, it's coming to the Xbox One. Next, they showed Sea of Thieves. Thought it went on way too long. I get the concept of the game, but like I said, I felt as though the gameplay, what they showed, went on way too long, man. If it's more, what looked cool was the ship-on-ship combat when you're shooting cannons and shit over there. That looked good. I like that part, raining and everything. But when they weren't doing that, combat with sword swings, it didn't look very slow and sluggish. I didn't really like it. But I get it. Not that many pirate games, especially like that one. There's one on PC that I cannot think of right now. But it kind of reminds me of, but that game, it was ship on ship. You got over to the other side, and that game probably had the lower budget, just being, I believe it's like one of the lower budget Steam games. Next, it shows Super Lucky's Tale. This is apparently it was like a VR game before, but now you can pretty much use the controller. And this is another thing we're talking about, diversity. It may not exactly be something that I necessarily like, but you're Nintendo fans, so many fans that like these types of platformers. Yeah, now you have something to really play, with this title. Like I said, it may not be something I'm interested in, but I guess it does have a market. Next, they show Crackdown 3. I have a problem with this one. They didn't show much of the destruction, at least in this gameplay, and the montage was a bit weird. Just there were points they were just showing the gun shooting, and I wouldn't have mind if they would have went and did like kind of like what they did with Sea of Thieves, where they showed a multiplayer session, part of one, where you saw them going around destroying shit, jumping around. They showed a mech. I wouldn't have mind seeing that, but it was a weird montage. It was gameplay, but you could tell the game looks different. They want something different, more like a cell shaded. This looks different from what they showed a couple of years back when they did, first initially showed, a little gameplay. So I thought they should have spent more time on Crackdown 3, especially seeing this has a November 7th release date. It's launching with the Xbox One X. So I thought they should have spent more time. Maybe we'll get something at Gamescom, but it's E3, man. Especially for the time you spent on Sea of Thieves, I want to see more Crackdown. To me, that looks like the funner game. Going around with friends, jumping around and blowing shit up. That's what they did in the first game. After that, they showed like an indie montage, ID at Xbox. I named some of the ones that I, kind of caught my attention. They looked interesting. Osiris, Raiders, Brawlout, which kind of reminds me of Melee. Dark and Light, which looks like a Japanese RPG. Well, it looks more like an RPG, not necessarily Japanese influenced. It did kind of. Strange Brigade and Shift are the games that kind of stood out to me in that montage. Next, they show Ashen. The whole no faces thing did look a bit weird. I guess I have to see more, but they did show some gameplay, and it looked okay. Another co-op looking game, so you do have that. Next, they showed Life is Strange 2. I didn't play the first one. I really don't care about it. One of those more story-driven games, along the lines with like your Telltale's games. I didn't really care about it. I've said this in the past. Not the biggest fan of those type of games. The only ones I played that for the Telltale games, I played like Wolf Among Us and The Walking Dead. Those the only ones I really played. For like, we were talking about same game in that genre. I played like Heavy Rain. That's about it with that too. Then I don't really play that many those types of games. Next, they show Shadow of War, which comes out October 10th. It actually got pushed back, but everything in this game bigger, better. Nemesis system's been taken to a whole nother level. The game looks great. That's all I can say. It's a day one buy. It's a multi-plat, but it's definitely going to be a day one buy. Next, they show Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is the sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, which I kind of thought they should have called it Ori 2. Then, add that name, the Will of the Wisp, just to kind of, when people go back later and try to play it, they're going to be kind of confused. Obviously, it's stuff you can look up, but they're still going to be kind of confused, just when they buy it. But it looked good. I didn't really finish playing the first Ori, Ori and the Blind Forest, but from it looks bringing that same art style to from the Ori and the Blind Forest, same music and everything. So it didn't look pretty bad. It's one of their critically acclaimed indie games, so a lot of people are actually looking forward to it. Just because I didn't finish playing Blind Forest, not really so much. But I think the art style is really good. Next, they showed they talked about backwards compatibility and how many games on it. Was like over 300, and the amount of people that play it. They were saying at least half of the people at least tried it, or something like that. Then they announced original Xbox games, which if you watched my kind of my Microsoft E3 predictions video, I talked about them possibly doing that, and that's exactly what they did. So maybe with the they show Crimson Skies, but here's another issue. People were more hyped for old ass games than they were for some of these other games like Shadow of War, like Crackdown 3 or Assassin's Creed Metro. People were more hyped for original Xbox games. Now there's some good original Xbox games, but you're not hyped for the new shit? You're more hyped for old games? And there's no problem with, playing, having games backwards compatibility and none of that, because it's just gonna add, it adds more, allows people to experience games they never got to. Original Xbox games, you're going back 15 years. So there's plenty of people that haven't played a lot of those games. I get that, but people were really damn hyped, especially seeing they weren't hyped for some of the other stuff. Shadow of War looked good, should have been hyped for that. It's a multiplayer, so what? The Dragon Ball Fighters game looked good, should have been hyped for that. They were kind of hyped for Crackdown 3. I thought they would show something a little bit better, a little, kind of like I said, show like a player session, multiplayer session. It'll got a little bit more hype behind it. But the original Xbox games, people hype for that. I mean, people weren't asking for it. I guess that's add to it. But they seemed more hype for that than any new game announcement. Kind of shows you, especially seeing the people really, based on the percentages, the people, because I know they gave out percentages of people that play backwards compatibility, the backwards compatible games. The people really play it. Don't know. I have to go look at that number, but I'm pretty sure, from what I remember, it's really low. I don't know the exact number, but it's really low, the amount of people that do it. But next, enough of that bullshit. Next, Xbox One X. They showed the price, which is $499.99, which I predicted in my video. I expected it to be that. The guy earlier also talked about the cooling system, and a lot of people speculated just off that it's gonna be $499.99. $450. People would predict $450. People that predicted $400. $499. I was sticking with that. I wasn't $450 maybe would have seemed like it could have happened, but it's pretty much exactly what I thought it would be. Also releases November 7th, which Crackdown 3 is gonna be the game. It's gonna release with it day one. Will there be a bundle? Maybe not. I think it would be cool if there was some kind of bundle with Crackdown 3, because Crackdown 3 is releasing at least some kind of price reduction. If you get the Xbox One X, they can get your price reduction for Crackdown, because Crackdown is coming out at a bad time. You're coming out of a time where Call of Duty, which is kind of being rejuvenated with World War II, going back to the World War II setting, and you got Battlefront, which to me was that and Need for Speed were the only two things EA even showed to me. Fuck the rest of that shit. So I mean, it's gonna be tough, but hopefully they do something when that game, for that to kind of help Crackdown 3 out. But it is a launch game, so I do see people getting it because it is a launch Xbox One X game. It's gonna more than likely take advantage of the hardware. And the last one they showed was BioWare's new IP. It's called Anthem. Looks good. It looks really fucking good. And they didn't give it a release. They didn't even give a release window, if I remember correctly. But it looks really good, kind of like your third person, like a action adventure or shooter, whatever. It looks like it's going with the RPG MMO-ish type thing. With you got pickups, I saw like minerals, which probably can use with like crafting or whatever, levels and everything. It's also PvE. From what I heard, they were taking inspiration from like Destiny, and you kind of see the vibe there. Not so much really, but you can kind of see it there. It really looks hell of a lot better than Destiny. Oh my goodness! You go look at Destiny 2 and you go look at this. It looks hell of a lot better. And EA didn't even, they saved this for Xbox's conference. They would have showed that. They would have helped out their conference a lot more. I thought they should have showed it as shitty as their conference was. But, it is what it is. But BioWare, this is the game you pull from Mass Effect to pretty much use it for this. Because Andromeda looks like shit. Let's just be real with you. Andromeda looks like shit. Looked even worse before they started fixing stuff. You get another team to make probably one of your biggest franchises, and you're working on a new IP, and probably just EA just because we're gonna ship Mass Effect to these other guys, these hacks, so they can make a really popular game, is going to do, still sell well. And you guys, you work on the new game. It is what it is. Like I said, I'll give Anthem credit. It looked great. What I give this in terms of score, I felt as though it wasn't no big title that they really showed that they did well in terms of first party. They had Forza looked good, but it's kind of my review of it, and like racing sims aren't gonna really affect it. It's not gonna negatively affect it just because it did look good. But for the most part, a lot of them were like, I like State of Decay 2. This is in terms of games that's only on Xbox One and or Windows 10. State of Decay 2 looked good. At least from its gameplay, looks slightly better graphically. Isn't the most graphically intensive game, I'll just be real with you. Cuphead, of course, we're going to get a release date for that. Crackdown 3, despite the disappointing trailer that they showed. And like I said, Ori and the Will of Wisps, and some of those indie games I thought were some of the best looking things in terms of The Last Night. That adds with the indie games. Black Desert, but that's gonna eventually come to the other consoles. In terms of first party, it wasn't a lot. It wasn't one that was like, wow. They didn't have that wow one where you show it off and people were really hyped for. They had they show stuff we already seen, which is not a bad thing because we need release dates on some of these games that they've already shown. But I don't think they have that one wow exclusive coming out, and I think that's definitely an issue. Now I'm not gonna score as bad as most people. I've seen people give it like 2s and 3s. Nah, I think I'm gonna stick with the 6 point. I'm gonna stick with a 6.5. I think, like I said, it's because they didn't have that one big exclusive. Your biggest games, honestly, Metro Exodus that they did show. That's not well, it's overall Metro Exodus to me, Shadow of War, and Anthem, all multiplats. I think they have coming out this year. They have just enough games with your Forza coming out, with your Crackdown 3 coming out this year. But they need a big exclusive. And I said this in that, my predictions. They need a big exclusive, and we still have not seen it. So I'm gonna stick with the 6.5. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. What was a game that stood out to you? Doesn't matter what it is. What's the game that stood out to you? What do you think about the price of the Xbox One X? And of course, everything they talked about. Or you can just talk about any game you want to. But if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.